Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or night. Whatever time it is where you're at, I hope you're having a good day. I am just about to push send on probably our last, since it's looks like it's a day and a half away from being, retired over here, and we got some taxes to get done um, tomorrow. So this is going to be our last draft, I think, of Neon Dynasty. It is draft number 13, I believe, and we have gone down about 1,500 gems, I should say, on this draft, on all of those drafts. And so that's a pretty low cost. If you look at like 750 gems, that would be like averaging something like 5 wins a game, which I can't say we've done because we've also been cashing in gold when we get to 5,000 gold. Twice we were able to do that since this quick draft showed up. So, the true cost is a little bit higher than 100 gems a draft. Probably something closer to like 300 gems a draft. Well, let's put it this way: the last draft we did, we used 5,000 gold, and we earned back 300. No, I'm sorry, we earned back 450 gems. That's what we earned out of it. So, you know, if that 450 gems, and I think on the other one that we did a free draft for, we actually did really good, and we got like 6 wins on it. So 450 plus 850 is like 1,300. So we mitigated half the cost of all of our deal by just having pretty decent performances on those two drafts alone. Overall, though, we have 2 trophies during the last 12 drafts. We have 2 6 wins, 1 5, and 3 4s. So we have just been living in the top half. We also have a 0, I'm not going to lie, and we have a 1 as well. So when it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well at all. But when it goes well, it's a lot of fun and it's a pretty good adventure. And it's one that I find so exciting that I keep coming back to the Troth for. I can't say that about ranked right now. I can't say that about standard right now. I can't even say that. I mean, I'm sure historic and brawler are fun, but I've seen the streamers and they're just abandoning all of the usual standard deck kind of profiles because Phyrexia All Will Be One is just far too aggressive to be fun. Um, I do think that the addition of the new cards are going to be even bigger, but the idea of battles and kind of utilizing battles as a way to slow down the game a turn or two and give everybody an opportunity to maybe develop on their side, which will create counter strokes and allow larger creatures. I've seen creatures that are 18 by 9s, or I mean, it's just nuts, nuts. So I'm looking forward to the new set. I'm not so sure it's going to play out anywhere near as aggressive. This was like the sweet spot, if you ask me. There are a lot of really nice low to the ground kind of cards there that still have value or that you can kind of work together to create the kind of value that goes up. Sets like green in this perform well because getting that extra 1 or 2 kind of stat points that they get on their cards really matter. A lot of the removal is not just straight up removal, it's like -2 or -3. And I don't think if you want to do a -4, it's like 4 mana to do a -4 damage on something. So all of that tells me is that this was the conscript, like this was the ratio to make um, a really fun set. And Brothers War tinkered with it a little, and then Phyrexia All Will Be One blew it out and just destroyed it. So I'm really, really hoping that Mothers of Machine Mom. I'm really hoping that the March of the Machines is a great set that fixes a lot of that because I had a blast during the first 2 months before the new set came out, before Phyrexia All Will Be One came out, just kind of learning how to play the game. I've only been doing this for about 3 months, 4 months now. Yeah, this is my fourth month, so 3.5 months. 3 months and 12 days. But I did have a blast just kind of working through like how does the deck work? How does it bounce back? How do you get, how do you build around a card? What if you want to build around a theme instead? All of those concepts. It took me a few weeks to figure it out, but once I did, I had a lot of fun. I played some net decks, I played some home brews, I had success across the board. And in Phyrexia All Will Be One, there was a period of time in the first month where my home brews were doing really nice, and I was having a good time and sort of like working through it, and then that all just disappeared, man, so fast. So, enough of me talking. Let's get into the drafting. What do you say, May? Uh-huh. 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 And invoke justice, huh? We are still value drafting here. We only have one copy of Invoke Justice, and this is a kind of a fun build-around card outside of this set series. There are some really, really solid cards here, though, that don't force us into white like that, and yet a part of me wants to do it, man. There's a good half of white and a bad half of white. The good half of white is Michiko's Reign of Truth, Incester's Arrest. The bad half of white is Samurai. There is a ton of blue in here, but not anything incredible. I do think this one's pretty cool. Whenever a non-token artifact enters under your control, you may pay 2, and if you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. So if you've got this card and you want to be in the artifact deck, that's amazing. I also look at like Michiko's Reign of Truth and just it works so good in the Orzhov blue-black kind of strategy where, or I'm sorry, blue-black, white-black strategy where you're kind of trying to balance artifacts and enchantments on both sides of the equation. And this thing just is a beast when it hits the deck. This doesn't play well in limited whatsoever. It's almost impossible to build a solid one call, like, kind of deal. You would need a ton of white sources. So, I look at something like this and think, like, is it worth the rare of Invoke Justice to go down that road, or should I consider just the Michiko's Reign of Truth and keep the white-green option with the enchantments and the white-black option, or other white options available? Or should I just take the removal spell, because removal is a premium. Um, you know how it says here, by the way, its activated abilities can't be activated unless they're mana abilities? That's bull. I have had a card that couldn't use its mana abilities with the Incisors Arrest on it. Really, really frustrating. Part of me thinks, though, I'm going to go for the win and not the rare card here. I don't think Invoke Justice. There are so many Reanimator cards that are out there that are easier to build around, that are easier to cast. You know, you're still looking at 5 mana, and there are a ton of 5 mana black, cards that only require 1 black mana. So you're doing this for 4 +1/+1 counters. You're kind of like breaking your back and isolating yourself into mono white. And then what are you going to invoke, right? Like an Atraxa, sure, but I don't know. I think I'd rather um, be a little bit. Well, okay. I'm going to take the Invoke Justice. I'm talking myself out of it. There will be other removal spells and other solid ones. There's no reason. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for value. We're going to take it. And we're rewarded right off the bat. We got a really, really good removal spell, much harder to deal with than just something that sits on the board. Dukachi's Silencer doesn't play out as good as I thought it would. I really felt like that card was going to be the nuts, but not so much. And this is really slow as far as removal is concerned. This is much, much better. So we're taking the removal spell here, and we ain't looking back. And we've got a nice 2-drop with lifelink that can give lifelink for 4 mana to whatever the creature that we want if we end up with something big. It does kind of take us into artifact half and towards black. Befriending the Moths doesn't play out the way I thought it would. I thought that was going to be a no-brainer, and it didn't turn out that way. And red is rough, man. Red is rough. I've won against red a lot more than I've lost because there are a lot of traps. Now, in this pack, there is the Boar, which is really good, the Reinforced Ronin, which is super fun being aggressive like this, and the Goshin Tai of Ancient Wars, which can work. I don't know how good it actually is. I haven't seen it really do a lot of damage to me. It hasn't proven to be a real big difficult, threat along the way. So I'm going to take the card that I know I like and the card that probably fits the deck that I'm most comfortable playing. Other cards to note over here would be the Network Disruptor as an enabler, but there are a lot of enablers that I think have better ETB effects than the Network Disruptor. Mana Fixing, which we're nowhere near. So, yeah, it's pretty clear. I'm not going to touch red. So let's go with the black. We're much happier with a black-white. Ooh. Ooh. Exile target creature an opponent controls with mana value 4 or greater. We just saw a card that cost 4 mana to do that. This thing does it. Well, it does a mana value of 4 or greater, as opposed to toughness or power of 4 or greater. But you can definitely get rid of a pretty big threat over here. Each player gains control of all permanents they own. That would be like the antithesis of this, right? It would get you your creature back, and then this thing just becomes a defender that turns into a card replacement at the end. And so there is there is some reasons why this is good. If you are going to go down the samurai deck, this is really good. I've seen this work as a really frustrating, slow, dirtily, I tapped you, late in the game kind of way to sink your mana into something if you're in a board standoff all the way through. Board standoffs seem to happen a lot in this, by the way. But I guess I'll take the Saga here. It's in the color that we're most committed to, and it's probably the best card in the pack. So why not, right? The Leech Gauntlet's an artifact. We have a nice mana fixing. We have a Covert Technician in blue. I am a big fan of ninjas in general, but this one's even better than most. The reason why I like this one, they all kind of ninjutsu in for about 2 mana for the most part. There's a couple that are like 3 or 4, but for the most part, this one's good. But being a 2/4 is really pretty good. And then, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to put an artifact card with mana value less than or equal to that damage from your hand onto the battlefield, like, say, a Leech Gauntlet, as an example. Yeah. So we could either do a Sunblade Samurai, which is kind of, we're getting kind of beefy up here. Or not beefy, but we're getting kind of heavy. We could stay really low to the ground with an artifact that, hands off a +1 across the way. Or we could, again, kind of stay with the ninja theme and, get off of trying to be hyper aggressive and still maybe focus more on the value that we would get. As a 2/4/2, she's a hell of a blocker. I'm taking her. I'm taking her. Blue-white is a thing. It's not a thing that gets played too often, but it is a thing. Very, very interesting. I do like this as well. I do think a 1/1 per turn is solid. It's not outstanding. I hear what they're saying. There is a possibility that red shrine wheels on there. This is pretty good if you're in the samurai deck, and we're just not. And Repel the Vile is a removal spell, but it is like the worst removal spell that white has to offer. And so I'm not jumping up and down to go get it. I think I would rather take the creature that kind of allows us to invoke justice, possibly. Like, so far we're still playing towards the invoke justice. This card plays really, really nice if you're in the green deck. Green-white is a thing. But the thing that I don't like about this card is that you have to kind of give up a mana to make it, because if you spend that mana, it's going to tap it, and he's not going to be there to block, and he's not going to be there to attack. And so it's kind of like losing a land. It would be the best way to describe it. There's a lot of easy ways to lose the game because you tapped. Tapped. So definitely the shrine for us, I think, over here. White-black fixing is probably the best answer here. I feel like green has kind of not even been an option. I haven't seen enough green cards that looked like they were going to play very well. I do like the Inkrise Infiltrator as a target for the Covert Technician to, go in and come out. This is a fun card if you build around it, but we're not. I think I'll take the fixing. There's a lot of Inkrise Infiltrators. That's not something that's like a must-have in any deck. And it doesn't have an ETB effect. It's just the flying is what you're paying for on that one. So I think we take the Scoured Barrens and give ourselves an opportunity at least to kind of open up what's going on in the colors. Definitely the best card in the deck by a long shot. But this isn't terribly far off. And it is really, really good with the ninjas. So I'm going to do this because it comes in and it leaves a 1/1 blocker, right? And so you can pop it back out and then send it back out again, and it leaves a 1/1 blocker. It is kind of a slow way of kind of moving ninjas in and out, and we don't have a ton. We have 1 at this moment right now. But Somebody's on our right is drafting ninjas. Somebody on our right is drafting green because we can see like, well, I can't say that because this card's still here. Man, I don't know how we get away from white. We're gonna stay. We're gonna stay in line. We're gonna stay in our lane. Guardians of Oboro play better than you think, especially if you can pick up a few things that drop +1 counters or attach as far as equipment is concerned. Um, just a 3/4 defender just blocks so well. What is Reality Heist goes and gets you artifacts. And here is an artifact creature that could reconfigure and add a +2/+0, but +2/+0 is nothing great. If you're really into card draw, things like Behold the Unspeakable likes card draw quite a bit. Network Terminal can have some kind of value to it. But I guess we're taking the Guardians as the best creature? Because if I had to pay attention to these two, I could put the Leech Gauntlet onto the Guardians of Oboro, so we're already like a little bit of a step forward. The other thing that we could do is we could plan our incision that thing. Doing this to this actually plans out. Exile and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control would prevent it from attacking, but who the heck cares? Guardians of Oboro would be able to get the +1/+1 on it and be a modified creature. And now you're looking at a 4/5. That's a pretty solid game plan, and I am down like a clown. Not not a card that I've in the past really jumped on, but I kind of like this and looking to try something a little bit different. Blue-white seems like something fun that would be a little bit different. We can splash black if we have to. Here's some more mana fixing, but we've got a nice flyer, a nice ninja enabler, and I'm planning, since we've seen no ninjas and we've seen very little black kind of cycle through, I'm planning that when the direction up here shifts in the other direction on pack 2, we'll probably start seeing a lot of the cards that we're hoping for in the ninja side of things. So we'll have to balance out the black versus white. We have another planar incision, a Reckoner's Bargainer. A short circuit's not a bad trick to do, but I'd rather try this. I think a couple planar decisions with maybe another, Guardians of Oboro or whatever would be really kind of cool. Shrine Steward does help you find your shrine, and you reveal it and put it in your hand, but you still got to cast it, and it's 5 mana to do that. If I was going to spend 5 mana, I think I'd do this. I also kind of like the channel trick that exists on this girl. In the past, it's basically like pausing 2 of their creatures for 2 turns. That can definitely swing a fight, right? Especially a board stall at the end. All right, well, that's a battle trick, and you are not something I would play at this moment. Ooh, decisions. Crew 4. That's the hard part. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to a target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. What? If we can find the white-blue vehicle that this is sad. I'd love to have been able to get this or this or this. So I think that we're hoping for a majestic wheel. I don't think we'll wheel a Touch of the Spirit Realm, but I think that we're definitely taking the Surge Hacker mech. I mean, it's exactly the kind of card. We don't have a single one in our collection. It's a 4 mana card that comes out, attacks as a menacing 5/5. It'll definitely require us to tap 2 of our creatures unless it's a Guardians of Oboro, right? If we can do the planar incision when the Guardians of Oboro, we can do this too. So I dig it. I can see a plan. We probably want to consider the Crew 4 thing though, and say what are some cards that are really going to give us a better chance to Crew 4, right? Ninja, white, removal in black, but double pip black. Pretty tough to accomplish up there. What do you do? You are a vehicle. Whenever it attacks, return a target creature or vehicle card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So you're kind of a card draw vehicle. Huh. It's not that exciting. I kind of hear you. I think I'm probably just going to take the Blade Blizzard Kitsune and wish that I had some things that gifted some plus ones on it. Hmm. This thing's a little harder to deal with than you think. And I wouldn't even mind bouncing it with the Planner Incision as well. If you had 5 mana, you could cast it, and then you could Planner Incision it on the same turn, and then have a 3/3 double striker on the next. It does leave you kind of, 2-for-1ing on your card situation, but that's not bad. I'm not doing any samurai kind of thing, and not that I don't want more leech gauntlets. It's just they're not enough by themselves to justify passing something like this up. So I will take this. We don't have to go hard commitment to the vehicle thing, and you need something on the deck anyway to prevent you from getting overrun. Right. We're not doing this. We can get them later. No big deal. Tawakashi Guide Bot's kind of cool. Enters the battlefield and you get to put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. That will help us kind of enable the Guardians of Oboro. It'll also give us probably a little bit more, um, uh, a little bit more in the get this thing up to 4 power in order to make it possible to crew our Surge Hacker mech. And I could double stack the things there too. So it's either the guide bot, which also becomes a nice card draw mechanism later in the game. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. So really it's like 3 to go get a card, and then maybe even 4. Maybe even 2 later on. And man, that would be like a game changer in a stalled board state. So I definitely think that we would take the guide bot over the counter spell magic, because it's very hard to imagine having the counter magic ready to go right when we need it. We would have to hold back 2 blue all the time. I think we can wheel this. I don't think we're going to wheel this, and that's okay. I do like this card a lot, but it's not in our color, and I'm not so sure that we would even be splashing black with what I see so far. So let's take the guide bot as a possible way for us to fix our mana. Scrying is kind of a neat little trick, or fix our card draw, and keep our card size, our hand size in a better position. And check it out. This is really, really good. Um, this would crew our Surge Hacker mech all by itself. Yeah, 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 yeah. We do have another one of these, and if we were in the enchantment deck, both of these play out really, really nice. It's amazing the quality of cards that we're seeing in this deck. Like, this pack is just, between the Roaring Earth, the Boseiju, green is off the charts good right here. What we're not seeing is ninjas, and we're not seeing black. We're not seeing even blue. So we might end up kind of swinging back into white, but we definitely want to give our Surge Hacker mech an opportunity to hit the deck and go. So we will be taking that card for that reason. Pretty nice on the defense side. Always good to have a little bit of lifelink. Certainly can put a +1 on this thing and make it tough. Disruption Protocol is another one of those counter target spells. It's just not the game we play. Until the end of the equipped creature gets +X, you have to sink a bunch of mana into it. Great red card, great ninja on the black side of things, but we're getting farther and farther away from black as we are really leaning heavily into the white-blue scenario. We have another vehicle. It crews very, very cheap. We have an Iron Apprentice. It's another card I like a ton. These are both really good in their respective decks, and the Arm Guard Familiar is the 2-drop that we want. I'm not going to go crazy swinging for a Surge Hacker mech to become this, everything is dependent on that thing hitting the deck and putting out. There'll be other brute suits along the way, but we struggle sometimes to find these. 2 mana puts out a 2/1, but it's got Ward 2, which makes it really hard to get rid of in the early part of the game. And in the later part of the game, you just attach it to something like Guardians of Oboro, in order to give it that extra +2/+1. It is a little expensive to do, but then when that thing dies, you still have your 2-drop. It doesn't just disappear. It doesn't even go to the back, side. It's an equipment beast. It goes right back to being a creature on the deck. And so I just kind of dig it. Like, it just plays really nice. These cards are super good in the green deck. There was an amazing green-white deck that was available to us if we wanted to make that hard pivot when we saw the turtle. We could have done it. Ooh. Enchant a permanent, can't attack, block, and its vehicles. We got a white removal spell so late. Pack 2, pick 7. I know Guardians would be another option, but we're taking the removal, and we're not looking back on that one. And what do we got going on here? What's we got here? We've got an uncommon card that sort of makes something poopy before it makes it strong. We've got another of those Armed Guard familiars, which we were talking about liking. We have a pilot that says that whenever a vehicle you control attacks, this guy says, what do you want, first strike or untap? And I kind of like the idea of a first striking 5/5. um, this is really good too, but I feel like our 2-drops are bad at this moment right now. Um, very, very little going on here in the 2-drop category, right? 1, 2, 3. That's it. So let's take our 4th 2-drop at the halfway point in the draft, kind of keeping us on the 8 sort of category. We're going to do a quick, oh, look at that. I got another one. Doing a quick stat check. We've got 12 creatures as it stands right now, 8 non-creatures, and this is going to help us make crewing a lot easier to do, because these guys are going to be able to plus up some of these other creatures that don't have that 4. So I think that I don't want to say forced to take that card, but it definitely fits the deck more than vice versa. I would like to take an Iron Apprentice most likely. This is really good too. 2/2 first striker is great, but being able to hand off the modification here does so much for us. It comes out early. It's an artifact if we care about artifacts, which I don't think we do right now, but it's just another way to kind of like put those +1s and to enable that for a later kind of game. So I like it. I like it a lot. Searchlight Companion. And we already have enough of those. Take a second. Our third one of those. Guardian. Searchlight. Guardian. Searchlight. I think we need some possible bigger guys. And so if we play our cards correctly, artifact equipment that doesn't really fit what we're doing. Harmonious Emergence, which is not in the color that we're looking for. This is actually a better card than it looks like, because you leave that 2/2 menace behind, and you get like a really nice kind of like, I don't want to say 2-for-1, but it's just so expensive. That's all. You're making a large commitment to give something +2/+2 and menace. Still, put it over there and take a look at our final pack here. So we have an interesting set of cards here. I am not a fan of March of the Burgeoning Life. I don't even think I would take it, for the rare. I kind of like the high-speed hover bike. It's cheap, it crews cheap, and it's a 2/2 flyer that only costs you 2 to cast. Sometimes these little leftover guys from our Searchlight Companions are excellent with it. This goes really good if you've got some discard kinds of things in blue that allow you to kind of replay it, can kind of give you a big card advantage, can kind of keep you building and growing. You have to have a very defensive mindset to make that work, but having some vehicle synergies already and having this as a really nice way to kind of kick off our vehicle stuff is good. If we see any more hotshot mechanics, or if we see that blue-white vehicle that's on there, I think we'd take it, because I think we've made enough commitment down that road to say, yeah, this is who we want to be for sure. Okay, pack full of value all over the place, but I have wanted my fourth copy of Nashi for a bit. She's a build around for sure, being a ninja, but she's also a rat, and I love rats. I've got a rat deck that I have a lot of fun with that I wanted to get Nashi into. And so I'm taking Nashi. I'm not even thinking twice about it. Other cards of note, this would have been like our third red um, shrine. You know, you wouldn't ever want to take 3 one-color shrines because you can't put 2 of them out on the deck. They're legendary creatures, unfortunately. Kunai's good as a removal, kind of dirtily removal piece, but it's a poor man's removal. Yeah, Iron Apprentice, we've already got one. I don't think I want more than one of those. And then, you know, we're probably get an opportunity to look at 1 or 2 of these cards on the way back. So, yeah, we're taking the Nashi as a sort of a consolation prize for not getting our rare on the last pack. And this pack is also full of some really cool value, right? Runaway Trashbot gets +1 for each artifact and enchantment card in your graveyard. Well, turns out, what's our artifact count at? It's probably pretty high. 13. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty high. If there wasn't a very much synergistic card in our lane, it's in our color, it does what we're looking for. If we didn't have this, then I think that the Runaway Trashbot might be actually kind of fun to do. It starts at 0 though, which is rough. Draw 3 cards, discard 2 unless you discard an artifact card. We are built for this as well. And to be perfectly honest, this is probably the card that we should take. I think I am going to take it actually. I don't know how many times I've just flooded or desperate for a creature or stuck and just frustrated and no way around it. And this is another card though. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card, and if you do, you get to discard a card. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Mana cleaning. Um, That koi seems really, really good with the way that we're set up. And a Life of Tashiro made it all the way down here, but so did this Moon Snare Specialist, which is a bounce spell built into a creature. I definitely think we're taking the Moon Snare. It just kind of fits who we are a little bit better. We have some nice ninjutsu targets that we would use in order to make that thing happen. Network Disruptor, Searchlight Companion are both really good at like getting out and getting back in on the cheap side of things, and so I think Moon Snare Specialist is my pick. I would love a Life of Tashiro if there was enough value. I mean, it's not like we're super bad as far as value is concerned over here. They're artifacty, but I'll take the Blue Ninja. That is a bounce spell. I've definitely been wrecked by that card before, which means it's probably better than I've given it credit in the past. A very late Spirited Companion, pick 5, always good. We are worried about the card draw situation. Doesn't fit the artifact piece, but it's a 2-drop. It's in our color. I think it's hard for us to say no to that. Our third Searchlight Companion? Oof. I don't know if that's the right answer. Light the way though. Can kind of create a blocker, which is sort of cool. Destroy a target artifact. Ugh, I would rather have that than that. We already talked about this card. So, yeah, Searchlight Companion it is. Best card in the pack. What are you doing? Why are you still here? Well, probably the best ninjutsu effect that we could hope for. If we can get the Spirited Companion to pop in and pop out, we can get that extra card draw twice. It's on the cheap. It's really good. We certainly have like plenty of playables, right? 31 playables that's in here. So there's not a lot that, Akiba Reckoner Raid should not be sitting around here, right? It's just way too good of a card. And I just don't see a world where we're splashing black. I don't think we're even going to play the Invoke Justice over here because I'm trying to think like maybe the Koi would be a really good target to bring it back out. Um, Target permanent card from the graveyard, then distribute 4 punishment any number of creatures or vehicles you control. Well, we could get back our Surge Hacker mech. Anyway, as far as the set's concerned, we have 4 copies of everything except the Ecological Terrarium. So the Kiba Reckoner Raid should be the pick. Black would have been a neat color to pair instead of blue. But the reason why I say that is there's just been a lot of removal, and I haven't seen a lot of removal outside of the 2 white cards that we've gotten so far. So it's a bit of a bummer. If we again focusing on card draw, the Sphere is probably our best bet, and so Samurais and Warriors like this. It's really expensive otherwise without it. I'll put the Sphere down here as an option. Oh, look, this was that pack that I said we were going to probably wheel one of those 4 blue cards that were in there. Look what we got, 4 blue cards. How does our curve look? A lot of 3 drops, and then not a lot after that, right? Like 1 or 2 in the 4 or 5, but tons of 3 drops as it stands right now. Pretty good on the creature draw driven kind of thing too. I don't think that means we should take a flash, enchant a creature. As long as it's a creature, it gets -3 and it loses flying. I don't think it matters which one we pick here. I don't think we're using either one. Worst case scenario, we'll take this if we have trouble trying to crew our vehicle. Nice artifact that can replace itself with a card. You're Already Dead is interesting. There's that short circuit again, and the katana in the group that nobody wants to take. More ninjas. They were just taking this for the set. Alright, what an interesting place we find ourselves in here. Sorry, just wanted to look at that. Positive gains that we've already gotten. We got the Nashi, which is really good. That completes our Nashi set. We have our 4 Nashis, so we can put her into the rat deck with the Rat King and all those other rats that we've got, and just kind of have a lot of fun with making it a little bit more powerful than it stands today. It's still pretty fun to play, but there are some rats that I could trade out for sure. I look at what is the theme of our deck. We don't have any black into it, so we can just move that out right now. And our black cards have some value, right? We have some serious value in the black line of things. So we've got the fixing 1, 2, 3, and if we feel like, oh my gosh, there's nothing we could do, this blue is just not working, there is a world where just moving all the black out here for 2 seconds. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 out, and 1, 2, 3 in would be a grand swing of 11. Okay. I mean, I'm not doing it, but in a, break glass in case of an emergency situation, I don't mind it. Right. We'll go with 5. We'll go with 4. We'll go with 4. We'll go with 2. We'll go with 3. We'll go with 3. And we'll go with 2. And we'll go with 1. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this. We need to make 10 cuts, right? Easy cuts to make short circuit. Well, I can say that's not that easy. How about this? Didn't we have a hover bike? Yeah, I was like, what the heck? That was driving me crazy. Okay, so what do we have left over here? the ability to modify creatures and make them crewable. Removal-esque, like a removal adjacent type of spell. 2 removal aura spells, and 1 invoke justice, which is kind of on the chopping block. I mean, it's good. These are both good, but may not play very well if we're going to be leaning pretty hard towards blue. We would really want to not be dependent on blue if we were going to do it. With that being said, what do we have over here? We've got some defenders, which are pretty good for crewing vehicles, as long as we can get them up to 4 with one of these planar incisions, right? Or maybe the Iron Apprentice, or attaching an Armed Guard Familiar. So we have ways to really make the Guardians of Oboro into some pretty cool stuff. We don't have to just sacrifice 2 bodies. We could probably do it with 1. But even if we had to do the 2 bodies, this is going to make those extra bodies all over the place with the Searchlight Companion. We'll almost always be able to cast this after turn 3 because of the fact that it's colorless. And that's going to make mana fixing much easier. It's going to give us quite a bit. Tawagashi also puts +1s on him. Sky Swimmer Koi gives us a bit of card advantage. It also gives us a threat in the sky. It also gives us, I don't say card advantage, just cleaning through our cards, kind of preventing flooding all the way through. And the Moon Snare Specialist creates the bounce, right? Ghost Shintai of Shared Purpose does create a lot of bodies that could be used as well. So I do think that it actually has a pretty good place, but I'm starting to fear that we don't have a lot going on the deck, and we're going to have a really hard time surviving long enough against the attacks that come our way. There's not enough removal in here, and there's not enough beef. 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness. You got 1 toughness? We got 1 toughness, 1 toughness. This is the first card that has some toughness, so we can't really be cutting these guys if that's what we want to get done. I'm thinking... I'm thinking... Hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking this doesn't fit. It's a removal spell that kind of sits there until something big comes our way. I'm also thinking we don't need 2 of these. What's the deck look like if I cut those? Still need 7 cuts. Papercraft Decoy could be one of them. Could get rid of one of these. I think we have to get rid of this. Hmm. Ninjas and ninja targets are cool. Ninja enablers and ninja targets look pretty good. I do like this as a way to really frustrate the board a lot. This is a really good blocker too. He's a great blocker. He's a good blocker. If we can put something on him like a +1, he's a phenomenal blocker. It's a 3/3 first striker. Makes life super tough all the way through. So, carries a +1 well, carries a +1 well, carries a +1 well. So we really do have a good defense. I do think that we're okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 great blockers, 6 great blockers. 1, not a bad blocker, but a chump block machine too. So we do have the ability to grind out. But then I guess what we would do is target creature or a planeswalker. We would just kind of whittle down with our two vehicles here, right? If we have both of them on the board, this is also a tapper too, which can kind of enable an attack for the Surge Hack mech. So you can get a sense that's like flash this out, tap their creature, enable this, bring it up, destroy another creature of theirs because now you've got two mechs on the board. So it's a 4-mana fireball spell. Go attack in, right? And you're only looking at one creature untapping on the way back home, and you get a chance to do it again. I do like this. I do like this. I can see this working well. I do think these are pretty good too. They don't get removed, so they kind of just stick around if you're not attacking or if you're not chump blocking with them. They have an opportunity to be pretty nice later in the game as a way to attach to vehicles and make the crew 4 cost a much, much lower cost. 2 cards off. What's our curve? 2.7. 19 creatures. I like the 19 creatures. Done much better there. This would be a really tough cut. We're pretty even blue-white all the way through. I like this about saving, like having a creature block something big and then using the planar incision to bounce it out and back in when it's on defense. That way summoning sickness doesn't come back and bite us in the butt. Gaining a +1 on something like this, making it a 3/2, makes it a pretty serious body. You could even keep the Guardians of Aurora alive with a +1 on it, and then suddenly now it becomes an offensive attack on the next turn. I keep talking about like these things as blockers because we've got cards that we're going to want to take off the board pretty consistently, and then we've got cards that we don't want to take off the board pretty consistently. So we've kind of got like two themes going on. One theme is you're staying on the board and you're going to make our high-speed hover bike or our Surge Hack mech, become a thing. And the other option is you're staying on the board and keeping our life total, and you're responsible for making sure that those, these two spells that get cast in the background don't just sit there without anything to go by. So Saiba Trespasser with a planar incision, pretty cool. Saib channeling this thing in order to allow like a Surge Hack mech to come through. I can imagine it. I can imagine a board where he's got 4 blockers and I've got 2 guys on mine, and I throw 4 mana into this and 2 mana into this, and this thing's just sitting in the background. And if I do it that way, then this thing will hit for 4, and this thing will get rid of 2 more, and this thing will tap the 4th. And so I can literally like sneak in a 5/5 attack against 4 different creatures that they've got, irregardless of their size. I say irregardless. I would need a 4 mana of a fireball of 4 to like destroy something. So if the weakest one had 4 toughness, I could actually take care of 4 threats with that kind of 1/2 punch if this is still sitting on the board and is crewable. It's a lot of ifs on that one. But it's cool. It's a neat trick. 18 creatures. I like that. We'll do the Kamigawa skin. Hmm. I don't like that. What did the brothers wear? Wasn't he the artifact guy? Okay. I have to return a phone call. I do think that we are done with the draft. We took our time getting through it, but we built a very interesting um, blue-white deck. I just going back and looking at things that we didn't include in the deck. We didn't go black, and we didn't include the Invoke Justice. And I feel like the reasons why we didn't do that is we don't have like the mana, game to make those two things work. Both of these cards are really hard not to put in the deck. Is there a Fall of Lord Konda? I have a hard time wanting to get rid of that too, though. Maybe I do. Maybe I want to get rid of the Searchlight Companion for the Fall of Lord Kondo. Nah, because that's gonna bounce these two things back out. I hate that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. He's good. So we've got some high quality cards that are sitting here in the back. Between the Searchlight Companion, these three cards, this one, with the fixing already there. There's a reason for us to maybe say if this doesn't work, I think we should probably push it through testing and see how this Guardians of Oburo, defense slash offense strategy with the planar incisions and modifications that we're talking about. This is 5 ways to modify, ways to modify. Um, yeah. So 6 ways to modify, and then who's a good modifying character? Well, nothing's better than the Guardians of Oburo, except maybe the Blade Blizzard Kitsuana, right? So put him up for a block, do a planar incision, just kind of make the attack negated, bring him back, and then he's attackable as a 3/3 on the way back in. Guardians of Oburo can't really do much attacking. I do want them though to have at least one of them to get the plus, because then we can kind of turn him into a Surge Hack mech that shoots a fireball as like a removal spell each and every time and make his way out. It's just a cool card. Just a cool looking card too. Um, Finally, Incisors Arrest and Touch of the Spirit Womb help kind of keep some of their, scary, scary threats. We're really holding back on using these if we can avoid it. Um, but it's going to be tough, I'm not going to lie, because we're not aggressive. We don't have a super low curve here, so we're not going to win a lot of games on turn 6 or 7. I think we're going to really want to get to the point where we've got these mechs and they just, we've got so many ways for us to enable these mechs that there's not much they can do. Hotshot Mechanic, though, is not something that I would like to play on turn 1. It doesn't do anything for us sitting out there, but it really does something after the Surge Hack mech is out there. So I do think that we could put this out first, put this out second, and then use this as a blocker. Like if we feel like Hotshot Mechanic's going to get destroyed, we can use it to kind of create some blockage. I also think that putting the Arm Guard Familiars on here is pretty good. You know what? Maybe that's the answer. Maybe we don't want 3 Arm Guard Familiars. Maybe we want to put some life gain in our deck instead. We don't go down on the creature count. I think that's one too many. Yeah, yeah, I feel better about that. So 2 bodies in here, 1, 2, 3, 4 bodies in here with some, tapper when he comes in, and ways to use this on the defensive way to get that +1 counter on it and save our creature and prevent an attack. Kind of like a good way, almost like a bounce spell, right? We block, and then we throw this on there, and we bounce our creature, which kind of negates their block. And now we're stronger on the next turnaround. Looking at you, looking at, it would be okay to put a +1 counter on him because the life link would make him, 3/4, which is pretty tough to deal with. But I'd much rather put the +1 counters or the Arm Guard Familiars on the Guardians of Oboro. I do think that that's a better answer. These are good as he's actually pretty good with the ninjas as well, because people don't want to block the Iron Apprentices. They know you're just going to get that +1 counter and make something much stronger and scarier, like this. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I'm not so sure what our win cons are here. I think that this deck could fall completely flat on its face. And we'll find that out in testing, right? Cancel. We'll say done. We will add to decks. And let's take a quick look at it in testing just to see how it does, because I am very unfamiliar with how to use the vehicles in this set, and I am very unfamiliar with like what's the best way to use the planar incisions and some of the other stuff that we've done. So what we can do is come back up to the event tab and add to decks, and then we can go to here and here. And you know what it is? It's they only want to play standard decks, and that's why. So, yep, see, we got them. We got them both. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Let's get rid of these older decks that we used for drafting over the last few days. We definitely have some Invoke Despairs that didn't make the cut when we tried to use them. So let's edit this deck, get it off of being a limited deck, make it a standard deck. Go over here and just kind of, we can always just re-add it again, right? Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think what I got rid of there that I really didn't want to. 16 lands equals 24 in percentage. So we'll just go even 12 and 12 because that would be even 8 and 8 on the way back out. We unfortunately don't have extra ones of these. That's our first Surge Hack mech that we've gotten. But we do have a bike. We do have, you know, an extra copy of these that can kind of smooth out the experience, so to speak. One more removal. We don't need both. The blade and how about the moon snare? So that's a 60 card deck version of our draft vehicles. I don't think this deck works. I think I've only been beat by it like once or twice, and the thing that we're missing is the 6/6 vehicle that comes into play. So a couple of vehicles, both very, very high quality vehicles. We're not totally vehicle-y, but I think that's our only win con. I don't see a lot of win cons. Otherwise, let's play it out and find out, right? Otherwise, how else are you going to get her done? Bot match vehicles? Question mark. I'm Ron Burgundy. Cool. Game on. Okay. 2-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop. Depends on what we see here. Black. Um, I'll tell you what. Let's put you out. Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, Cast the mech, I think. Nice. I'd like to drop it onto the Spirited Companion if I could. Oof. Alright, no more here, but we do have you that we can cast for 1, which is nice. And we do have you that we can cast for defense. And then I could theoretically crew this? What happens if I do that? Nice. It's a menacing 5/5, but they can do 6 damage. So I'm not going to do it, but I just wanted to see what happens here. Dang. It's getting wide. My turn. This guy blocks almost all of those guys really well. I'd rather get 2 1/1 blockers here. Thank you. Scared me, man. Thought we were never going to do this. Definitely. Let's do that. Resolve. Resolve. Okay, so Guardians can attack now, which is good. Tell you what, if I do this, what it's going to do is make it possible for me to crew this and swing in with these two. They both have 5 toughness. Short of a trick. Doesn't have an answer for that. That's not bad. We're going to do it again. Yeah, we just win the game right here. Watch this. We channel this. We tap both of you. We crew you with you. And we swing. Hey, that is like word for word. Oh, you bastard. I was going to say that was word for word what we said we wanted to do. That was crazy. Okay. Not that it matters, but we would just do this, and then we just all attack. Not bad. Turn 6. That was pretty interesting. I think we want the hover bike out first, just to give some more beef to the fireball that when we cast the other one, and that would be cool. Hotshot mechanic did what he was supposed to. Okay. Okay. All planar incisions and hover bikes. Nothing but blue. Nothing but blue. Yeah, he can do it with flash, right? So if I did this now, nothing would happen, right? But what if I did this now, just tap the other guy just to have something to do, and then considered flashing this back and forth, tapping this again, kind of neat, getting the ETB twice, just as an option. We could do that, but we're both on summoning sickness because I didn't do it on the defense, and I should have considered that. It's an instant spell. I'm in danger. Mostly because I don't have the ability to do anything. Next to combat. Sure. Oh, that was a terrible idea. Well, see, this is why you practice, right? You want to see when the right moment is, what the cost of doing this stuff, what do you gain, what do you lose, kind of deal. What? Are you only on a creature? Creature. Yeah. Well, congratulations. You are a creature. Yeah, say cancel. Getting 2 damage isn't getting anything done. We are flooding out of our minds. He is ramping off the charts. And we get some 2 health. But huh. Oh well. More just mana, 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 mana. 7 mana. Alright. That's not gonna work. I am a little nervous. If we can't keep a board state because of drawing 9 mana and nothing, I guess we would die no matter what our deck looked like. So, maybe not the right one to judge, but pretty bad nonetheless. Pretty bad. You cannot flood out that much. 3 and 3. We're good. Out you go. No creature. That's cool. Amazing. Haha! Sure. Let's see what happens here. It's a lot of damage that get through, actually. It's worth it. So that tap gets the damage through. I think I just let the 2 go by, right? Yeah. And then this tap, right, gets all of this through. Ninjutsu in. Yeah, I don't have that going on over here. So ninjutsuing in for the disruptor, and then recasting the disruptor to tap the Octafut allows all the other ones to go. And no, doesn't work that way. I think we're attaching the Armguard Familiar to the Network Disruptor. We are crewing with the Hotshot mechanic on the high speed, giving us a total of 5 damage that we are attacking through with. We'll take the Iron Apprentice and destroy him. Hopefully he goes into the Octafint, and then we can possibly cast this. Well, no, not that turn. Okay, so we attach. We crew. And we all attack, right? Because we are actually trying to get that thing dead. And we'll stick that on here. Okay. 4 damage. What would you like to get rid of? Just for fun, I guess. Crew with you. It's actually pretty good. The flying guys are better than I expected them to be. Alright, so the big miss is not getting the taps to enable attacks, right? There's an aggro version of using the network disruptor and the taps and the flying that all work together really, really well. And if you don't do it in the right order, you kind of give yourself nothing to go by. So if we stick the hotshot mechanic out, I'm not going to block that. Careful. Sure. Can have all 3 of that, but he doesn't, which is nice. They're kind of in a blocking formation at this moment, so we'll throw him out there. And we'll say nope on the attacks, because we're waiting for one of our 2 vehicles to show up for the hotshot mechanic. Didn't happen. I could bounce the Blizzard Blade back and forward right now, or I could wait until they attack on the next turn and then bounce it and not have to suffer summoning sickness against me. So we just need to keep 2 mana open, and this thing costs 3, so we would just say no on the attacks and the turn and see what happens here. That's what I thought, right? So we go past the blockers and we block here like this, and then we plan our incision this. And what that does is it takes away their attack and gives our guy a +1, which is very, very nice. No reason not to attack with this guy. Right? Yeah. Yeah, planar incision's good, man. I don't know what people were talking about. I think I could put the companion out to draw the card, but I would lose the ability to do this. And this is the right offensive move, right? He's like swinging for 10. Alright, so now we don't have that problem, right? So now we do this. I really need 4 to do the Moonsnare Specialist and the Goshen Tai, and I'm just going to pretend like we're not about to win this game, like we don't know what's coming up next. So in this kind of circumstance, I would press the advantage with the Blade Blizzard and both of these little guys in hopes that I could Moonsnare Specialist out of a nothing, right? Yeah. And then that would allow us to actually cast our Iron Apprentice, if I'm not mistaken. So we ninjutsu out and lose a token creature. But that's okay, because we bring in a real guy, and then it says, when it enters the battlefield, return 1 to its owner's hand. We say, bye-bye. And that's always fun. Oh. And then we throw in our Iron Apprentice. Yeah, we don't have the mana to do that, but that's okay. Shocking! So it's not as robust as it looks. 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness. Right? So we click next, and we'll just attack with this and this. That's fine. And autopay, go wide, stay wide. Having a little bit of a hard time getting past these guys here. What do you say we go all the way? I'm okay with losing one or two of these guys, but clearing off their board quite a bit while whittling down the damage has got a lot of value to it. How are these Minotaurs, like, always there? He never draws land. Next. Go. Go. End turn. Auto pay. Nice. Probably could have just done the Guardians, but no big deal. Arm Guard with the Blade Blizzard is really, really good. Arm Guard in general is just really, really good. Didn't I take an Arm Guard out? I might want to rethink that. Gets the board presence down there a little bit earlier, allows us to beef up something really fast. Gives us more targets on the, what's it called? More targets for ways to modify the Guardians. And he kind of just opens up the deck a lot more. Without those, I don't know how good our deck really is, to be honest. We need those modifications. I would rather start with this. We haven't played with the Koi yet. Kind of looking forward to it. Get you out there. And kill. No. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, come on. How are you so smart? It's fine. We're certainly not touching and spell-rolling that thing. Very good for us. Yeah, this would be a perfect trade. Never happens, but it would be. If we draw one more land, we can put out the Swimmer's Koi here, which I think is probably a better bet for us than this. We'll say no on the attacks. I will take the trade with the Krovokian Scoundrel if it yields the +1, right, to another side. But if it's not, it doesn't really pay off. Alright, we have 4 mana, so we can only do one thing. Either remove a guy, set up a defense to go wide, or bring out an Arm Guard. We don't have anything to attach the Arm Guard to except the Swimmer. It would kind of take 2 turns, right? It would just show up over here. What happens when this happens? Whenever an artifact enters under your control, you get to draw a card, and if you do, you get to discard a card. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Tell you what. There you go. That's the biggest thing I think we'll face. Just you. Two-turn clock. Not a shocker. I do like you. That's so cool. Shirts like companion sets off Sky Swimmer. ETBs, get the extra body. Let me do it again. Yeah, we won't even do it. She would bounce somebody, I guess. If I had her come in, we'd lose the +1, but we wouldn't lose anything else, and we could have kept one of our guys alive. Huh. This deck is fun. Like, it's got a lot of fun stuff to do. It's very dependent on each other, but it's not bad at all. Did we just become best friends? Yeah, I think we did. I dig it, man. I kind of dig every aspect of this thing. The swimmer's really good. I guess this is the one thing that I haven't, on the defensive side of things I haven't been playing. But if we stay offensively focused, I feel like we can dish out the damage pretty fast. Okay.